Around the world, multiple media outlets are citing exit polls emerging from India and talking about the possibility of Mr. Modi returning to power. Perhaps many already believe that Modi is almost certain to be back for another 5-year term. But what seems to be even more important is that George Soros and some anti-India forces are expected to lose. Many in India, as expected, are celebrating this, and then there are those who are greatly disappointed. But who are those who seem disappointed? Well, to start with, take a look at this. And this. One-sided politically charged propaganda not only to defame India globally, but also it seems to be a sort of weapon designed to influence India's elections. And it goes on and on. Besides this, viewers should also remember that George Soros, back in 2023, had said that Narendra Modi is no Democrat. The same George Soros whose world vision is about imposing a Western-style regime change and subsequent rule by puppet governments. I explained that in this video. The same George Soros was among the funders of Sweden-based VDEM that released this so-called Liberal Democracy Index in which India was placed below Kuwait, and of course the Germany-based propagandist uses this twisted index to prove his point. I fact-checked his claims in this video and also exposed how hollow VDEM's methodology is. Let us not forget that attempts were also made from Germany, a genocidal, colonial, criminal state, to interfere in India's domestic political affairs. Yes, the same Germany where churches continue to control key affairs, and a country that pretends or claims to be a democracy but is more like a hybrid theocratic state with a neo-Nazi twist, something that I exposed in this video in a way that has never been done before. Germany, here's some good news I want to share. India's latest GDP situation looks quite amazing, right? And how about yours? Facing recession and running to the Chinese dictator for help? No? Germany, you know what? This is the new India. This new India rejects neocolonization, it rejects external interference, it rejects puppet governments, and this new India rejects those who can slow down its fast-paced growth and development. And yes, it also rejects deceitful propaganda that aims to destroy her image. After all, it is about Indians' choice and not George Soros' choice. Regardless of who leads India, India's growth and the process of India reclaiming its rightful position in the world should not slow down or stop. Highways, train infrastructure, ports, airports, space, renewable energy, digital payments, manufacturing, and much more. India's progress in various domains cannot go unnoticed. This momentum should continue, and it is not just good for India, it is also good for the global economy. We shouldn't forget that the Western media has a questionable track record when it comes to spreading fake news or propaganda globally, something that I explained in this video. Multiple media outlets in the West are influenced or controlled by the church, and then there are these deep state and the neo-colonization factors. Not so long ago, this report explained how UK's Foreign Office's identity is somewhat elitist and rooted in the past. For example, the UK needs to come to terms with the new global order and the re-emergence of Bharat. As reported here, the balance of geopolitical power is shifting alongside economic power. The world's economic gravity is moving back towards the east, driven by growth in China, India, and Southeast Asia. So, BBC, listen carefully. India is not a colony anymore. This is the new India, an independent India. And meanwhile, the UK finds itself today in a changed role as a medium-sized offshore nation. If you have been on YouTube since 2016, and if you have observed things carefully, you may have noticed this. Our YouTube channel started exposing the West, the Western institutions and their nefarious designs in a way that was never done before in India's history. Media outlets like WION and First Post started to show the other side of the story too. Things were gradually becoming more balanced. The viewers were finally able to see the side of the West that was hidden from them. But as expected, the power-hungry West is not going to give up easily. Don't forget, India is only taking the tiny steps to challenge the humongous ecosystem that the West operates in or controls. The Western colonial criminal states are the masters of deceit. They divide and rule, creating overseas Western assets to benefit them. It seems quite clear that the West knows who the so-called brown sahibs are and how to use them against India. A Germany-based YouTuber, or let's say a Germany-based YouTube channel whose fake content I have exposed earlier, starts to make politically charged content that suits the Western agenda. Quite immediately, he is promoted, popularized and presented as a hero by the Western soft power assets. As a result, the Germany-based propagandist is manufactured in no time, and now it seems that he's being used as a Western asset or an anti-India asset by some. Tell me in the comments, isn't the Germany-based propagandist an asset to control or influence the election outcome in India? Tell me, isn't the Germany-based propagandist an asset to interfere in India's domestic affairs and India's social media landscape? Isn't the Germany-based propagandist an asset that can help install a George Soros-friendly puppet regime in India? From Gandhi-phobia to Modi-phobia, the West has come a long way, but its character has hardly changed. I explained that in this video. But in the Western world, there are people who see the West's ugly designs to maintain its hegemony or to influence global affairs. Occasionally, they raise their voice against it, but unfortunately, their numbers seem to be few, very few. For example, Chris Blackburn, in his article, mentions that one challenge is the tendency to view India through a narrow lens shaped by preconceived notions or sensationalized narratives. This can lead to oversimplification and distortion of issues, perpetuating stereotypes. He adds, bias also influences coverage, with Western media outlets sometimes prioritizing narratives that align with audience interests or geopolitical agendas. According to Chris Blackburn, Western media often falls short of accurately capturing India in all its vibrancy. Despite India's increasing significance in geopolitics and culture, biases, constraints, and misinterpretations frequently cloud the coverage. As far as my perspective regarding India's election is concerned, I would like to say this. We will know on June 4 whether India gets a George Soros-friendly puppet government or not. Being a mother of two Indian citizens who has made India her home, I have the right to talk about India's domestic politics, but I try my best not to talk about India's domestic political parties and its domestic politics. No matter who becomes the Prime Minister of India or who forms the government, I will continue to stand for India and Indians on the global stage. And in the end, I want to say a big thank you to every viewer and to every content creator who has supported us and has stood for us as we face all this. Despite our efforts and the seriousness of the problems that we are facing, nobody in the Indian government has approached us. We are patiently waiting for June 4, and once the new government is formed, we will do our best to visit several ministries in India to make them fully understand our case. Mark my words, I will do what it takes, but the Germany-based propagandist fake content that I have exposed cannot remain on YouTube forever. It will be removed. Yes, I repeat, the Germany-based propagandist fake content that I have exposed will be removed. See you again.